people who have been devastated because of climate change?
No, you're absolutely right. The funding is a different thing. But the people who are operating it, the foot soldiers, the guys who are going, to do the suicide bombing.
To be used.
Yes, the ones who are ready to be used. Because you're absolutely right. I think this is an area that needs to be seriously looked into. Where are these sophisticated armaments coming from? Who is supplying them? Who is trying to make this country ungovernable? We need to look into that. But that's a slightly different story. By the way, I feel we need to declare a state of emergency on the environment. No, but it's a very salient point. But the foot soldiers are these guys, and there's hordes of them. You'll see them all over the place in the major cities of Damaturu, in the Maiduguri, in Kano. You'll see them, youngsters that are coming in that have nothing. They've lost everything, and it's so easy to manipulate this. No hope at all.
Yeah.
Then somebody who's been funded, obviously, good money coming from somewhere, is now brainwashing them, and it's so easy to brainwash a man if all you need to do is just give him a plate of food because he hasn't seen food for the last 3 days. Environmental refugee. People like Alade with the NCF, they've been up into those areas, right into those arid areas, and they've seen it directly. Directly, they've seen it.
Yeah, Mr. Adeleke, if this is our problem, I mean, climate change is part of what is fueling this. I don't think the average Nigerian understands climate change. So how are we going to begin to solve this problem? We don't know what is making us hungry. We just find that we cannot drive our cattle anymore. Our cattle is dying. It's getting hotter in the north. The water levels in the south is getting higher. We don't understand all that.
And if I may add, just before you say a word, that how do we, just adding to what Alera said, how do we begin to get the mindset to change from it is the fault of the gods or it is the gods reacting?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing to really note is that environment and safety are highly connected, and environment and security are highly connected. Security means the ability for you to be satisfied with conditions where you are and have a peaceful mind to be able to run within a particular society or an area. And when that security is threatened, then you look for one thing or the other to do. The environment is the backup for human beings. And when the issue of climate change became popular in the past maybe 10, 15 years, but it has been there over a long time. Because our people here see climate change in a different way. Every time they only associated it with what happens around them, like flooding, what happens around them, like deprivation of fuel wood, deprivation of food materials.
Droughts.
And that is the only way you can interpret it to our people. When places that are not drier, normally dry before, becomes drier over the years, and they cannot get their pastures to where they normally get them to, when there will be fight between fishermen and pastoralists on the same piece of land, which used to accommodate all of them together over a long time, when farmers are finding places to farm now, they have to go to wetlands because there is no more open arable land that is not too dry, then the scenarios that is emerging is beginning to tell you that something different is happening. Things are changing. Weather is no more like before. Farmers in those days, even farmers now proclaim that, okay, in May, in April, this is our farm time plan. That time plan is being changed because the weather system, the rain patterns,
planting seasons and reaping seasons, harvesting
are
have
just
all changed.
changing. And how does this connect with national security that we are talking about? How does this connect with the issue of Boko Haram? If you read where the WWF, for instance, we're a partner of Worldwide Fund for Nature. Worldwide Fund for Nature made a release about April about the problems they are having of insurgents in one of the forests in Congo. Let's take our own example in Nigeria. Insurgents or groups always utilize pockets of forest around the borders to plan. One of it is Sambisa Game Reserve, Sambisa Forest Reserve in Borno State. Soldiers are there now trying to combat them. If we have good forest management systems and we monitor what happens to our forest and we know what happens among them before any insurgent or group plans to use our own forest reserve to attack us, we would have been able to do it. We have another big resource around that area, the Lake Chad. It's like the Nile. You must have heard about the story of no Nile, no Egypt. Because Egypt takes the issue of security so serious that they are using it as a kind of political discussion with the government of Sudan, and even among the Arabs, they tie the life of Egypt to the Nile. The same way we should tie the survival of our people and the resources we are having in Lake Chad to the Chad, and the water resources that is around that area, and the forest that is around that area. When the environment creates opportunity for people to be critical in their thinking, they would take the turn of a dangerous trend. And that is what has happened, because young people can easily be coerced into doing things they would not normally do. They are hungry, they are hungry, and they can easily be, convinced to do what is wrong.
Okay, if I may ask environmental evangelist, Maja Kudumi here, if I could ask you, Desmond, when I had a conversation some months ago with a friend who's a columnist who wrote a piece on Boko Haram and the fact that there is a link between the principle and the action. Now, the principle, or the religion and the action, rather. Now, in Nigeria, if we're to look at climate change, can we say that the climate change in Nigeria has a severe impact on insecurity, or is a very minor impact, because there are so many other issues that we must acknowledge have serious impact on the issue of insecurity?
That's a very deep, that's a multifaceted question.
Okay, let me simplify just one thing.
Yes.
Let's look at it from the perspective of how seriously impactful is the climate change issue with regards to insecurity?
It is probably, in the scale of ratio or percentages, it's probably about 70% responsible. And the reason why I say that is that, whatever misguidance or misgovernance or negativity in politics and so on you might have playing itself out, whatever type of misguided religious leadership you might see playing itself out, if people are happy, if people are living a satisfied life, which a good environment, a healthy environment will afford them, especially in this Nigeria of a place which is so incredibly blessed. I mean, we just heard about people talking about the mineral resources, and our friend here was asking the very pertinent question, where is the gold? Where is the gold? But, we are so blessed, not just with the mineral resources, but incredible agricultural terrain. This area like the Lake Chad we're talking about, it's the agricultural activity there is profuse. We're talking about massive amounts of fishing has been going on there for centuries and centuries, and huge amounts of agriculture has been going on there, and it's naturally fed by water. They have this receding. When the rains come, the lake comes out, and then as the dry season comes, the lake starts to recede, and people just plant fast-growing crops, and legumes and so on. Following tremendous resources, so people were pretty satisfied. You're getting all the fish you want, you're getting all the vegetables you want, you're growing your grain, you're making good money. So it's going to take a very, very, very persuasive voice to pull you out of that situation. But now it's been totally turned around, and we have upon us now a situation whereby that satisfaction is gone. It is very, very much responsible for it.
Insulation of the poor from crisis do happen when you have good environment. When you have environmental issues or degradation that is high and too difficult for people, for the poor to withstand, there is quick opportunity to grab violence as an alternative.
Yes.
And that is why you hear of minor cases of problems between locals farmers with pastoralists. What they are fighting about are fundamental issues of natural resource use. Anywhere human beings are